Welcome to this week's episode of the Crazy Catholics podcast. I'm your host, Raph, and I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Giada. In today's episode, we are talking about Bon Iver, or Bon Iver, if you're my brother. A legend in the alternative folk genre, but we're talking about his first album, For Emma, Forever Ago. But before we get into it, let us remember that we are in the holy presence of God, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. So today I picked a verse that I feel like is like the classic music-related Bible verse. All of the music teachers I've ever had that are religious have this like on a poster or something in their room. And since today happens to be our first music-focused entirely, well, we did have Music and the Devil, but this is more so like songs that were...
Yeah, this is secularized.
This is secularized music. I thought that it would be a really sweet verse to use. It is Psalm chapter 98, verses 1. Sing to the Lord a new song, for he has done marvelous things. His right hand and his holy arm have worked salvation for him. So this verse, it's from the book of Psalms, and it's always a classic. Like I said, when discussing music in a religious context, I feel like I've seen it everywhere as a religious child growing up loving music. And like I said, as today is our first like album-related video, because there might be more in the future. Hint, hint. It's a reminder to use our voices and our musical talents to praise God above all. Sing to the Lord a new song. Sing your praises to God. Sing your struggles to God. In times of distress, we look to God. We need God, and we can sing to God. And this album centers around the struggles and heartbreak of the artist, Bon Iver, like Raph mentioned. And just as Bon Iver used music as a tool to offer up his pain, we can offer up our pain and our suffering to the Lord, because this verse reminds us that salvation comes from him. So now we'll begin our prayer. Dear God, Raph and I meet today to discuss a very special piece of art, For Emma, Forever Ago, by Bon Iver. Thank you for the gift of music, specifically albums like this one that we can listen to and relate to. Help us to use our musical and artistic interests to further glorify you and your Son, Jesus Christ. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
All right. Should we just dive in?
Let's dive in.
Let's just dive in.
This is Raph's episode. He is the expert.
Bon Iver, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man. It's kind of disappointing that we're doing this episode after my Bon Iver phase has ended, but whatever. whatever. If you don't know what that means, basically, when I'm in a phase, I just listen to that artist or that work of art for like 3 weeks straight.
Real.
Or however long periods of time, and I don't listen to anyone else. So yeah, during the musical, this was just running through the back of my mind, which is crazy. But anyway, yeah, so today we'll talk about, obviously, Bon Iver, or Bon Iver. Again, for my brother. Bon Iver.
Or me.
So we'll have our reaction to the album, and then we'll just dissect song by song as the musician I am and the singer that Gigi is.
Yeah.
So, and then just for some context, because you know what I say every episode, context is key. So, right. So when we talk about For Emma, Forever Ago, that was released in 2007. So it is old. It's going to be like...
Excuse me?
What?
2007 is old?
Yes, that's like almost 20 years ago.
Okay, that's fair. You're 2005. Old man.
Okay. Come exposing my age here. Okay, thanks, Gigi. Yeah, so released independently in 2007, and then I'm not going to say that studio name because I don't know how to pronounce that. But
Jaguar?
Yeah, what she said, they re-released it in 2008. So, it is a album that has gained a lot of time, and with that time has gained a lot of fans. But I mean, Bon Iver has released more songs.
Yes.
He has released like 2 more albums.
I think it's like 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Like when you go on Apple Music, because I have Apple Music. Sorry, you Spotify
Me
guys.
too. Apple Music supremacy. Woo!
When you go on Apple Music, you see the first, like, the most popular songs when you go see the artist, and it's always the one with Taylor Swift on it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Song with Taylor Swift on it. Or is it It's Rosaline? It's in one of those two.
Yeah. I'm embarrassed to say that I heard about Bon Iver first from Taylor Swift. And I'm not even a Swiftie, you guys. I promise.
Yeah, I don't listen to his newer stuff. But anyway, I digress. All right, so when we talk about Bon Iver, we have to talk about Justin Vernon. So Justin Vernon is the lead singer, or the frontman, for Bon Iver. Bon Iver used to be just him, and that's specifically the case in this album. But yeah, this album is just about heartbreak. It's very sad and depressing to hear.
Yeah.
So don't play this album when you're like in a good mood, because it's gonna just drive the mood down. But like, when you look at Justin Vernon's backstory, he was in a previous band, he was in a relationship, and he was perfectly healthy, and then all of a sudden, one after one, his band, DeArmond Edison, broke up. His relationship ended, and then he got diagnosed with mono. So basically, all of these things were coming at him, and he couldn't handle it. So he just took his stuff, drove 18 hours straight from North Carolina to Wisconsin, and just went in his cabin. And so when we see this, your initial reaction is, holy crap, how did he not have these huge mental jumps? I mean, he did, but it's not like, man, I would have just fell completely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have produced like an album or anything like that. But it's this whole process that created the rawness and the authenticity of the whole album. I mean, when you look at the recording process, it was literally just a guitar and a computer, which is just insane. So that's just, I feel like that's me. I'm like, I just have a guitar, I have a computer, maybe I can do something here.
Yeah.
But it was just, the whole rawness of the sound was a very clear aspect, especially when he recorded Restacks. When he recorded, I mean, that Restacks, I feel like, is the closest song to hearing the outside world. I mean, it is the final track.
Yeah.
We'll get into that when we dissect this. But like I said, you immediately get the theme of heartbreak, isolation, and healing from this album. It's like when you listen to this album from top to bottom, the first songs are very depressing.
Yeah.
It's very heartbreaking. There's clear struggle. And when you view, the next couple of songs like Team, Creature Fear, those are the transitional songs, I would say, where it transitions from heartbreak into a brighter mood, or a sense of hopefulness. That's a better word. A sense of hopefulness. And so you just have a whole album of depressing music.
Yeah.
And what do you do? Right. Because this was not not a hit when it first released. It was, I mean, it did have a bump, but it didn't, it's not like Taylor Swift releases her new, in 1989 and it blows up.
Yeah.
It's not that type of level, but it's just, you don't really get it until you listen to it. It's like, if you've never been in a relationship before or had heartbreak, isolation, or anything like that, you don't know what it feels like. And then you listen to the album and you're like, oh damn.
Yeah.
It's just It's very deep level stuff. So
researching this album, this is a little personal, but I'm going through my first, I think, heartbreak, I could call it right now. And it's like you feel all those emotions as you're being carried through that album. And I think that ending with the 2 tracks for Emma and then Restacks, it sort of leaves you feeling like, after you cry and there's just kind of that sense of like, well, now what at the end? That's really what I feel like this album leaves you feeling like, is a sense of hope, but also where do I go from here? And I think the thing that's so beautiful about For Emma Forever Ago is that it takes you through those feelings, and it's something that I feel like the majority of people can relate to, which is why I wish it was more well known, but in a way it's special that it's touched a smaller group of people.
Right. And it's very specific on who relates to this. I mean, you have, different, everyone has different tastes in music.
Yeah.
But when you have, like, I would have never gotten into the folk alternative genre if it wasn't for Bon Iver. So you can think of that. But yeah, it's just, for me, emotionally connecting to music is what really, gets me to like a song. Like, that's literally like 75% of me, like, if I can relate to it. The 25% is like, if the riff's good. Don't get me wrong, the riff is good on these tracks. Don't get me wrong, the guitar is really good. But when you, relatability is powerful. You can just hear it when you hear every single song on this album. You get a sense of, this is how I relate in my life. So I guess that shows off that I've lived a sad life. It's just not true.
No,
I've had happy moments in my life, but yeah. So anyway, let's dissect this thing. Do you want to talk about Flume? The first album of the first song on the track.
Yes. So I listened to this album in full. I was listening to them like alone when I could, but last night, as I mentioned, I'm kind of going through it right now with, similar things to what Bon Iver was dealing with at the time that this album was released. And I really just loved the song Flume because something about it to me feels, I know it might not be interpreted the same way to everyone, but it feels very neutral in the sense of the whole album. I think like Skinny Love and The Wolves Act 1 and 2 are very like painful and bitter and with lyrics like "Don't bother me" and stuff like that. But I also think that there is a sense of bitterness in Flume, but it's also just a song of processing. And the lyrics are just so beautiful and poetic, and you kind of don't really always know what it means. I love the line, "Only love is all maroon," because you don't really know how to interpret it, but it's got that beautiful guitar sound in the background. And something about it is very neutral. It's not hopeful like Restacks, but it's not depressing and hurt in the same way that maybe Skinny Love is. And it's a really good opening to the whole album. Yeah. Those are my first thoughts on it. What is your take on this song, Raph?
It's interesting for me to hear that you and I have different reactions towards the song. I think this song is just is about reflection, right?
Yeah.
And when you look at some of the lyrics on there, it's very for me. It's very clear to see like, he's like, but he's giving, it's subtle, but he's giving hints that he's hurting. Like, the line "leaving rope burns, reddish ruse." I can't even talk. Reddish ruse.
Reddish rouge.
Reddish rouge. I don't know why that messed me up so bad. But like lines like that make me like, so he experienced things that is affecting him mentally. But like you said, this is a great opening track. And I think it sets the tone of what at least the first half of the first half of the album will be. And you have multiple lyrical themes throughout the song. But I think one thing that's special about Bon Iver, when you look at the lyrics, it looks like a short song.
It does.
For this. But the instrumentals that he adds on there is just mildly insane. You just have the one guitar that is just strumming along. And as a singer, and I, definitely sang a lot of his songs, I've definitely noticed that he cuts off. He doesn't like hold on to the notes. If that makes sense. I mean, like the first two lines of the song, I am my mother's only one. It's enough. Mm-hmm. When I tend to sing this song, I hold enough until I switch to the next chord. He cuts it off right away. So, and lets the next chord play off, which you'll hear throughout a lot of his songs in the album, and especially in this next album. But Flume is one that definitely hits when you're singing it, especially when I'm playing it. The chords it really just hits hard. I mean, I guess that's the one negative with Bon Iver. The tunings that he uses is great and cool, but when you want to play it on guitar, it's very a pain in the butt. So,
yes.
So I have to find ways to, how do I play this song in E standard tuning instead of dropping to drop C or open D. So it's fun.
Yes. Another thing I wanted to say about Flume is that there's a lot of maternal lyrics. I'm my mother's only one. Sky is womb and she's the moon. And I think that gives this song kind of not a comforting feeling, but something about it is very nostalgic. And I like the fact that his songs are so hard to play and the chords are really hard to tune your guitar to, because it gives him like this sound that you don't really find in a lot of other places, but at the same time, it sounds like a song that I've heard before somewhere. And there's something comforting about it, but there's also something kind of eerie about this album and this song, because you just know that the artist was in just such a place of depression. And so I just wanted to point out those lyrics, and I'm sure it was intentional that he included words like mother and womb, and I don't know exactly what he was trying to get at in those songs, but it does add kind of a comforting, nostalgic vibe, I guess, is what I can say.
Yeah, and I think it greatly transitions to Lump Sum, the second track, where you have the beautiful layers of his voice on top at the start of the track. Yeah. And then you have the rapid guitar after that, which is sustained throughout it. And, the layered vocals is just incredible. I mean, him as a vocalist on his own is incredible. You hear his falsetto throughout the whole entire album, which is something I wish I had. It's like, dang,
it's incredible.
Yeah, the way he can just easily just slip between his head voice and his falsetto is just really incredible, and just credits him as an artist. But yeah, Lump Sum is very, there's a shift in the tone, but when you look at the lyrics, right, that's where you see it's like you can see his pain in this. Yeah. Right. Like the first few lines, sold my cold knot, a heavy stone, sold my red horse for a venture home, to vanish on the bow, settling slow. So it's like this I don't want to say initiates, but just drops you into, this is what I'm going through. And just having the guitar and the syncopation that it has just transports you into his shoes and what
Yeah.
it feels like to be alone up in the woods, just having to deal with all those pains. I get the feeling that this song is just a stab in the heart. It's just like, it's trumped every inner inertia lumps up. So it's like, I can, even when I'm talking about these lyrics, I can relate to, like, oh, in moments in my life, this is where this has occurred. But yeah, what did you get from this vocal layered song of Lump Sum?
Yeah, honestly, I like Lump Sum. It's not my favorite out of the bunch on the album, but I definitely think it sets that tone of just this painful depression. And I think it definitely highlights probably that relationship that he had and the fact that it's over, especially in the line, color the era, film it as historical. I thought that was a really beautiful line because it kind of encapsulates, you are so happy in a colorful relationship or that era of like being in love. And now that it's in the past, it's something that's historical and you can't have it anymore. And it's like, it makes me emotional thinking about this song because I don't love the sound of it, but it kind of puts you in that uncomfortable place again of missing something that once was. And then it ends with all at once rushing from this. Is it sump pump? Is that what he says? Sump pump. Or so the story goes, balance we won't know. We will see when it gets warm. And I feel like that's him kind of leaving hope that someday it's going to get better. But he knows that it's in the past now. And that's kind of what I interpreted from this song.
Yeah. It's funny that last line, and then you look at the next track, it's just Skinny Love, which I'm assuming a lot of people, Skinny Love is one of, I think, the most popular song on this album. And oh my God, Skinny Love. What happened here? It is this. Oh man, this song is just about like desperation. Like he's like wanting to, maintain this, but I want to mention the lyric, the chord thinks that it's like directed towards someone. A lot of people think it's the his former lover. But it's really just him talking to himself. And then when you recognize that, right? It's him telling himself, I told you to be patient. I told you to be fine. I told you to be balanced. I told you to be kind.
I told you to be kind. And I told you to be patient.
You don't know how much I want to grab that guitar over there. That's in drop C. That's in drop C tuning. And play it. But it's copyright, so we can't.
Yeah, we can't.
So we can't play it. But like when you view the song as him talking to himself rather than this directed towards someone else, it cuts at a different level, especially for me.
Holy crap. Yeah.
It is. And that's why I feel like every time I play the song on guitar and I sing to it, well, when I try to sing to it, I mean, there's high notes in the song that I cannot hit.
That's fair.
It is, I just cry every time. It's just
me too.
So emotionally raw. It's just like you can just hear it on, like, even in the track. You can hear all the creaks from the guitar. You can hear the sighing, the emotion from Bon Iver. Well, sorry, from Justin Vernon technically, but like even in the live, when you watch this live in the studio, you still hear the rawness of his voice, and I think that's this song emphasizes Justin Vernon's voice and his ability to put his emotions into music.
I agree.
So like, it's this song is just, oh my God, this song wrecks everyone.
It does. And now that you mention it being a perspective of him speaking to himself, holy crap. And especially that ending chunk, and now all your love is wasted, and then who the hell was I? Ooh. I mean, it's just, it really just shows like how broken he is.
Was, but
just, I think in this song, who will love you, who will fight, who will fall far behind. It's a very contemplative song, and I feel like now that you tell me that it's him speaking to himself, he's angry at himself. You can feel that rage kind of in the chorus. Even though he's not shouting and it's not like an angry song, it's just kind of the regret and the resentment that he has. And yeah, I love this song. I think I always will.
Yeah, this song, especially after a relationship, and you think it's like, right, the reason why, you know, the relationship ended is your fault. You think it's your fault, and you listen to the song, and it's just so, it's like, oh yeah, maybe I wasn't patient enough, or maybe I wasn't, you know, kind enough, or whatever. You just relate to just reflection. I mean, this song is really reflective, right? You know, the hopefulness, like, come on, skinny love, just last the year, or, you know, come on, skinny love, what happened here? It's really just sad to listen to, but it's just a feature of the emotional connection and the heartbreak that he has. I mean, that the last refrain, or chorus, whatever you want to call it, and the, you know, the ending snippet of the Who Wills. Those, when I always listen to those, it's like, oh, it's such a good way to climax the song. And like I said before, like when you look at the lyrics, it looks like the song isn't long. But there's probably like not 2 minutes, but like a minute of him just, you know, I don't want to say, you know, like screaming, but it's not him screaming, but it's him like the whelps of his pain behind the strumming of the chords. Like, like the chords on the song is very easy when you look at it. It's like I said, it's in drop C, so you really have an A minor and then a C for the verse, and that's it. And then you just have 3 chords for the chorus. So it's really not a complex song to play.
Yeah.
But also, like I said, it's in drop C. So that is, it makes it easier once you're in drop C, but it makes it hard when you're not in drop C. I have broken, technically that one, 8 strings trying to play this song. It's the D string that I have to tune up to a high, to an E.
Holy moly.
It is, that's why I keep one of my guitars always in drop C, because I feel like you can even feel the tension on the chord, on the string. It feels like it's holding on for dear life. But I'm strumming as hard as I can. And it doesn't snap. So it's like, okay, come on, guitar, just last before we do the Fine Arts Showcase. Wink, wink, wink.
What? What did he say? Oh, what did he?
We're probably good. We might do this song. So we might do the song.
Just be prepared, guys.
Just be prepared to bawl your eyes out.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, it's a lyrical masterpiece. I know that sounds dramatic, but I mean, I could just go on and on. I tell my love to wreck it all, cut out all the ropes and let me fall. Oh
my God.
Kills me.
Literally, it kills you inside.
It does.
I just, you know, as soon as I heard the song, I'm dead. I'm like, oh, I just died. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm like, every person that I've exposed, I've showed this song to, and I've seen their reactions like, holy crap, that's so deep. And then I tell them what I told you, where it's not about someone else. It's about him talking to himself. So. And they're like, oh that hurts even more. And I think this is the lowest part. I mean, this is the climax of his heartbreak here, and in terms of the song. And then you take it's on the better ups from here. So, so I don't really have any strong opinions about the Wolves Act 1 and 2.
Yeah, I don't either.
This one it still gives the Bon Iver vibe, right? It still has the elements of, I'm saying that now and then I'm reading the lyrics and I'm like, oh my God, someday my pain will mark you. Harness your blame, walk through. Oh my gosh, right? So this is him this is my interpretation, obviously, but I think this is him. Skinny Love was the breaking point. That's where he snaps. That's where he hit rock bottom. And this song is him trying to figure out where he is, right? Trying to, no, I don't want to say that, but it's just like him trying to figure out what he's lost so that he can move forward in a way.
Yep.
And he's stepping in a better direction. Let's just say that. So it's like, like you said, don't bother me. What might have been lost. Right? Yeah. He's trying to figure out the elements of his pain. And pain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, there's in the last, snippets, it's my pain is mentioned 5 times.
Yeah.
So
I like to think of this song as kind of like a spiral. I don't think it was meant to be like a good song. I think it was just him kind of getting his thoughts out, because I wouldn't listen to this song like on the daily, but I definitely think it's a spiral. The don't bother me, what might have been lost. Don't bother me, what might have been lost. It goes on, and then ending with someday my pain, repeating 5 times. It's just, I think it's more of him, like you said, trying to figure out how he feels now that it's over.
Right.
Yeah.
And what have you dealing with, Gigi? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
That's a topic for another day.
Well, I mean, if you want to share on the podcast.
On the podcast.
I'm just kidding. Anyway, but yeah, the Wolves Act 1 and 2 are I feel like this building up to the transitional songs. And this is, like I said, the spiral that doesn't make sense out of context. I feel like you have to listen to the whole album from top to bottom to really understand this song. Yep. The 3 other songs before, the 3 other songs before this, especially after Skinny Love, that song shows you the pain, and this one tells you what it is. Harnessing your blame, right? Blaming himself for, whatever. The deep connections that were separated. But this song is just a deep level spiral. Yeah. And so it's not the most attractive song per se on the album, but it definitely still has the blaming, self-accountability and isolation that the rest of the album has. Okay, this next song is one I was like, I've related to, right? Like in terms of like terms of top 3 best songs on this, well, my opinion, Ari Stacks is still number 1, Skinny Love number 2. Gotta say Blindsided is number 3 for me.
Yeah.
And then you go for, then I'll have to say Flume, and then For Emma. Those are those how I would rank it. And then you would have technically Creature Fear and then Team. and then Lump Sum, and then The Wolf. So I just write the whole album.
I have a very similar order to you when it comes to the songs on this album.
Yeah, the songs on this album all have that general aura. When you talk about Blindsided, it's a really haunting memory. Just because, I mean, bike down to the down the lockdown, boards, nails lie around, right? And I crouched like a crow, crashing in the snow for the agony I'd never know, cause blinded, I'm blindsided. Those are, for me, that's very haunting. I think it explores the introspective lyrics that he offers.
Yeah.
I think what gets me on this song is just the guitar riff that's going on in the background. That I just love the isolation of the bass notes in the bass notes that are laid on top of the higher notes with the G, the B, and the E string. And so this song just kind of blends that together in a really good way. This song is very haunting in the words that he says. Yeah. And I feel like, would you really rush out? Again, is him kind of talking to himself. Would you really step out on, I don't want to say put yourself out there, but would you really change the things that he's, it's very this song is just very emotional.
Yeah.
For those reasons, the line, for the irony, I'd rather know, because blinded, I was blindsided. I feel like this, when I say those words, it's like he wasn't expecting all of this to come around, right? He wasn't expecting to get, for his band to break up, and then for him to get sick, and then for his relationship to not work out. So I think this is him this is a total shock to me. I was not expecting
I was blindsided.
This. Yeah. And I think this song shows how life can change in a matter of days. And I can recall where it took just one day for the whole mood just to shift out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so this song just really just shows life's ability to screw you over.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what 100%. I got from Blindsided. What about you, Gigi?
Yeah. There's definitely, I would like to say I've had a really blessed life. My life has not been that hard, but I do relate to this song and the feeling of how it can all come crashing down out of nowhere. And, it feels like life is kind of playing tricks on you. I've definitely felt that in my life. And sometimes you get in a rut and you just can't get out. And I think there have been some hard things that I've gone through recently, and just to have this album, and I think it's a reminder that you're not alone and that life will leave you blindsided. And I think he's kind of asking after the fact if, would this have really happened under these circumstances if something else was different? Would you really rush out? I think he's asking the people, what?
I was just gonna say, no, I wouldn't rush out. I wouldn't rush out. I just wouldn't.
I wouldn't. I don't know if he's really asking this to himself or to the other people that he's had to face through this difficult time. But for the irony, I'd rather know, because I was blindsided. It's like he wishes he would have known going into this that this is how it was going to turn out, but you don't always know that. And especially with the line at the beginning, for the agony, I'd rather know, because blinded, I am blindsided. It's feeling like you didn't know that this was coming, and you'd rather have known to stop the agony. And I've 100% been there before. And you would rather have known ahead of time so that you could be prepared. And I think that's really at its core, that's what this song is about, is wishing that you would have known before a bad time started.
Yeah. Yeah, because that changes a lot for the decisions you make moving forward, right? I think when you ever go through heartbreak or something like that, you see, I mean, for me, I always look at what did I do wrong. I think that's just the nature of how I was raised.
Yeah, me too.
And so, like, you want to project whoever you have at someone, whoever it is, in a good light, right? You say, okay, there's nothing wrong with them. It was just I messed something up here or something like that. But it takes other people, your friends, if you have friends. Wow, that took a dark turn.
Whoa.
If it takes friends to open your eyes to see oh no, you weren't at fault. There are other things that were coming in to that made that happen. So just like the amount of regret that this song can really bring, because you really want to change things after this is going to go out, right? But I guess it loses the effect of that experience in a way. I mean, like, you've heard the quote where it's like, oh, I wish I knew that the good old days were ending while I was still in the good old days, right? And I'm like, yeah, I agree, right? You could take advantage of that time, but also you just lose the that experience of the good old days. Like, you don't have that you don't have that level of respect for those memories because you knew that the time was ending, so you tried to control a lot of oh, wait, I should do this because I'm never going to get the chance again, right?
Exactly.
I'm like,
you can relate to that.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If I knew this year would have happened at the start of my junior year, I would have definitely made some different decisions then. I would have definitely joined a few things way earlier. Like starting the Smash Club was
Whoa!
Smash Ultimate, guys.
It's not that kind of.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, so a little sidetracked by me. But you just have the reflection of things you should have done in your life, and so this is a good. I don't know. I don't want to say segue because it's not a perfect segue, but I feel like when you then look at creature fear, he is now recognizing he's a dummy. I'm just kidding.
He's a dummy.
He recognizes the things that he's lost. Right. I was fooled by your account. I was lost, but
you're fooled.
Yeah, it is definitely a track where I really, really enjoy the chorus on this song and Team, because it goes from something so simple, the guitar and just him, into the crescendos into the chorus are just very, very, very cool to listen to, and so many foreign worlds, so relatively blank. So ready for us,
relatively blank.
And that's not actually the word. I just don't want to say that word.
Yeah. He drops an F-bomb, basically.
He drops an F-bomb. So relatively F-bomb. So ready for us, that creature fear. This song is telling him, is he ready for the next step of moving on? And I think that's very hard for people to do and to see. Right? Like when you experience heartbreak, wherever it is, right? When you lose that person, that you thought you would have a
Yeah.
deeper connection to,
Mhm.
or you're like, okay, now you go into this kind of PTSD like state where like, oh, I don't want to do this again because it's just going to end up the same way. And I always, when people ask me, to give me their voicing on like heartbreak and stuff, well, I'm like, yes, you definitely should, grieve for however long you need to, however long that takes. It shouldn't take a year. If it does, then you need to see someone. But right,
or see the person again. So I think you're still stuck on them.
You need to close something in that chapter that hasn't been closed. But yeah, when you definitely should grieve, right? Because you had something and you lost it. But then at a certain point, you need to stop and just recognize what you can learn from that situation and then just move forward and let them go. That's really hard to do. Yeah. It's like letting people go is very, very, it's very sad to do.
Yeah. It's so hard.
You have people that you think you're, interested to, right? You meet them in school or middle school and then say, oh yeah, we're going to go to the same high school. We're going to have, a lot of time together. We're going to spend, and then you drift apart and because life happens. And that's how, if you really want to know how you get rid of fake friends, just stop initiating the conversation and just live your life. If they hang out with, your other friends and they post about it or whatever, then, good, happy for them. And then just move on because they're not really worth your time at that point. You just need to see what you gain from that and what you need to work on. And then make the best next step forward. It's definitely hard. Don't get me wrong. It's for a person. Yes, it's very hard to step out and ignore. You just reminisce. You reminisce about all the good times you had, like the late night text messages or the experiences that you had,
and what you had planned for the future. That's honestly the hardest part. And I think in the lyrics, like so ready for us, you were so ready to continue this. And I think a lot of times as Christian teens, if you get into a relationship, you see a future with that person. And then when that doesn't happen, it can just be the most like soul crushing experience. Right. And I think that Creature Fear kind of touches on that. Like we were so ready for this to continue, but was a long visit wrong? I think that lyric kind of alludes to was this relationship not supposed to happen? Yeah. And a lot of times you're left with that.
Yeah, it's definitely the Creature Fear. If you've seen Inside Out, it's a very very different fear. This is emotional fear. This is very, very sad. And then you get to the transitional song, Team. So we talk about Team. Team is all instrumental. So it is everything about this song. I feel like it's just like you said last time. It is a continuation of Creature Fear, and the transition is quite seamless. It reminds me of when you listen to the Hunchback of Notre Dame album and you hear the Olean before the Bells of Notre Dame.
Into Bells of Notre Dame.
It literally it's a seamless transition. I'm like, dang, it's one of those. Dang, so yeah. But Team, I think, being the shortest track, it makes sense that it's all instrumental. I mean, in 2 minutes, you're really not going to see a lot of words and action, especially with Bon Iver. I know that's different for more popular artists because they can fit a lot of their songs in 2 minutes. I don't know how. My preferred song length is 3 to 4 minutes. So I prefer the longer ones. But yeah, so that's all I have on Team.
Yeah, I really love Team. I think that it's when I first listened to it, I thought that it like was Creature Fear and just like a continuation. Because if you just listen to it like on Apple Music or Spotify and you just let your phone play, I was like, oh, this is a really long song. And then I clicked on it again and it was like a whole new song. So I think it was just kind of Bon Iver fiddling around and just kind of being artsy,
going through the motion.
You know?
Yeah, going through the motions of it. Yeah, I think it does just a great job to give the listener a chance to reflect on the first half of the first half of the album and see the themes and messages that he's sending through those songs, and gives them the opportunity to be prepared for the transition that he makes into For Emma and Restacks. So when we talk about For Emma, it is
my favorite.
It's in the title, For Emma Forever Ago. So
it's the title track.
For Emma. Oh man, like this song is, it's really okay. If you hear the a cappella kind of version that he did,
he has one of those.
Yeah, so he has one of those. It sounds really dope. They're in like this hallway in France. So it's weird because they're talking to this French dude for the first 2 minutes. I'm like, what the hell is this? It's not even Bon Iver who's talking to this guy. It's the camera guy. He's
what?
I'm like, I don't think this is appropriate. But if you hear, so if you haven't heard it already, please do listen to it. It really sounds really good. I guess listen to the initial version first with the guitar and everything before you listen to this. But the a cappella version it's really nice. So For Emma, composition wise, it's not it's nothing special. I play it in E standard, so it's not really that hard of a song to play. But it's so short when you look at the lyrics. It's so short. You only have like 2 paragraphs of words, but it's very emotionally strong. I mean, like you look at the second paragraph, that I'm calling it a paragraph. I don't know. Second stanza, you can like see that he's ready to move on, right? I don't want to say fully healed, but he's healed himself enough, go find another lover. Yeah. You're still very lovable, right? I toured the light so many foreign roads for Emma forever ago. So this song, I feel, is him saying that, okay, maybe there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm still able to make this happen, if that makes sense. So what were your thoughts on your favorite track on the album for Emma?
I think this song, Raph's gonna make fun of me for this. I think this song is very relatable.
Oh, really?
For me right now. Go find another lover to bring to string along. It's kind of like this bitterness, but also recognizing that you have to move on from this person. And I almost wonder if Emma is like a code name or even the real name of the woman that he broke up with.
Damn.
Which would be like really,
lawsuit.
Really deep. Doxing.
A defamation case right here.
But I think that he's still angry, but he knows that he has to move on. And the line, "You're still very lovable," like, oh man, that hits because like he probably still thinks that this woman was a good person, but it's time to move on. And this song, it's got kind of it's one of the only songs with like major chords, I feel like, in this whole song. And it's got like, it doesn't have like the trumpets or horns like
at the end,
in the middle at the end. I think that that's really beautiful, and that just kind of makes this song like special and stand out amongst the rest of mostly just the guitar lines on the rest of the songs. Yeah, I love this song. It's beautiful.
Yeah, at the end, the the horn section is very clear that it's very sampled. That's the word I'm looking for. It's very sampled, and that's very clear. So when you see those different types of elements added into it, it makes it nice. Because when you have the guitar backing up with his voice, you can't really notice that that part is sampled. But the guitar, the syncopation of it, the way that it just it's very rhythmic, the guitar section, and that's what I think I enjoy about it. It's very different from Skinny Love, which is very strum along type feel, or Flume, which is also again strum along. But I feel like you only get in this album, you only really get either strum along or very rhythmic guitar. You never really get finger style guitar playing, not till his next album. But Forever is just a song that you can relate to, because if you ever had your heart broken, or you've definitely experienced something that has scarred you, and you wonder if you are ever going to recover from this, or you're ever going to be able to move on. And I think this reinforces the fact where it's like, yes, it's okay to grieve, but you got to move on at some point. So for those of you who are stuck on one person, move on.
Move on. Yeah.
Just move on. He's never coming back. Okay.
Whoa.
I don't want to. Or she. I don't want to be sexist or anything. He or she is never coming back.
Okay, not necessarily. Guys, this is turning into Raph and Gigi giving relationship advice.
Sorry. When we talk about Restacks, this is probably, oh my God, when I think of this album, I think of this song. This is the most hopeful song on the album. This is him accepting his fate. Yes. That sounds bad. But accepting his fate. This one is actually,
what I think it's accepting
accepting his fate. This one is a pretty decent amount lengthwise. Okay, I don't want to turn my volume all the way up. This one is 6 minutes long. The first minute and a half is him strumming his guitar. And this is the strum type of song. And this one is very, very hopeful. Just from the chords, they're very major. So it is gives that enlightening, hopeful mood. With the acceptance and I can't even talk. With the acceptance of what was going on, and saying, "Hey, I still have this chip on my shoulder, but I'm going to push forward, and going to accept what comes." So. When you hear, so this is not the sound of a new man or a crispy realization. It's the sound of me unblocking, and you lift away. Your love will be safe with me. Right. So this is, he acknowledges that this person will always have a place for them in his heart. And I feel like you always, I think either it's your first relationship, or it's you're the one that deeply connects with you the most, where it's I don't love this person, but this person is going to be a part of my life because they've shaped you or helped you with some stuff. So it is very just recognizable to see that in the song. I think when you think of the best way to conclude this album, I think this song hits it out of the park. What did you think about I like saying RE stacks.
RE stacks.
But it's Restacks.
I really like Restacks. I think it's a wonderful close to the album, kind of in the same way that Flume opened up that door of depression and isolation and loneliness. Right. But I feel in a way this song is I like the I like the main chorus. I don't know what it means, which is like what bothers me. In the back and the racks and the stacks of your load. In the back with your racks and you're unstacking your load. I think in a way it's kind of like
go ahead,
unpacking the hurt of that relationship and learning to move on.
Yeah, the way I interpret it, it's I feel like it's the burdens that he's carrying, right?
Yeah.
You know, whenever I mean, I can relate to this, right? When you enter when a man loves a woman, like when you like, for me, when my previous relationships ended, right? It's like, I always default to, is it my fault?
Yeah.
And, you know, but when I have like previous trauma from my childhood that was really effective I don't want to say effective. It was really effective in maturing me real fast. Which is a good and bad thing when you're 7 years old. But like, you don't want to bring that trauma into your new relationship. You don't want to force it on them. And, you know, I've seen that, you know, you kind of do it unknowingly. And like, as much as you want to not do that, and as much as you want to change, it kind of sneaks in there, and just, you don't even see the signs until after. But the refrain is very, very just, I have so many burdens in my life, you know, and it is just very, very hard for him to have the burdens already that he's carrying. And, you know, when he says you're on stacking your load, it's him saying, well, I think it's him saying, like, it's that relationship as a whole stacking it on top of him as something to carry on. So it is it's very layered, which all of the songs are. But yeah, that's what I think he's trying to say there. So it's very that's very sad. But this song is very hopeful at the end.
This song is really hopeful. I know we touched on the line, "Your love will be safe with me." I feel like I understand what that means in a way. It's like, though they don't have that same love for each other anymore, the love that they did have will be kept safe kind of in his heart. And it's like, sometimes, like, when a relationship ends, or at least like in my case, it's like, you still care about that person a lot, but it's not the same type of love that it used to be. And it's like, he's going to protect that love that once was, but it's not going to be there anymore.
Yeah, I don't think it ever is. Like, when you break up with someone, I don't think that love is always going to be like the exact same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, you just like, you view that person like in a total, I don't want to say totally different way, but in a way where it's not, I think this is a great person to spend my future with, or start a family with, or whatever. Like, you just see him as a person. It's kind of weird in the way that people just go from loving one person, and then they're like completely, like, they're complete strangers the next like year, which is weird.
It is weird.
Anyway, right, this album as a whole is really emotionally heavy. It's very, very it's very hard to listen to, especially when you're in a past or previous, if you've experienced a past or previous relationship. It is kind of reignites those memories that you've had with that previous person or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, when you are sad, you play this song, like, it kind of affirms those feelings that you have. But I'm like, it's like a double-edged sword, because you don't want to play this too often, because you're going to be sitting in that mood.
Yeah.
And you don't want to do that. So that's why I have moved on from this guy. No, I'm just kidding. I still love Bunny Bear, but I won't listen to forever that often. So But yeah, this album is just like an incredible piece of work.
It is. It's art.
That I always say revolutionized the alternative folk genre. Because I think it definitely paved the way for like bands like Mumford and Sons.
Yes.
And like those type of bands really took what Bon Iver was doing and then made it their own way, which is pretty cool. And when it released in 2007, it was a hit. But it wasn't really a hit where, you see Taylor Swift getting like over 1 billion streams in like one day or whatever. I don't know the stats. But it was a big enough margin for him to pick up a studio in the next year. So that kind of really shows the impact of it. And it really appalls me that he was like, I never intended to release it, but I showed it to a couple of my buddies and they said, release it. And I did. And then things happened. So it's very interesting to see that one thing that he thought was his therapy session became a piece of work that a lot of people relate to and they see themselves in, which is sad because so many people are depressed.
Yeah.
but yeah, where have you like seen Bon Iver influence the music genre as a whole, or it's like the culture of being depressed and alone?
Well, I mean, I hate to say it because like I've always loved like folk sounding music. I love the band Kings of Convenience, and I love Mumford and Sons, and I love The Head and the Heart, and like those are all very like Bon Iver vibes. But like I really didn't think about him much until the album Folklore by Taylor Swift came out, and that's actually my favorite album by her because it's just a genre that I really like. And so I gave it a lot of like time and attention. And then the song Exile featured this guy named Bon Iver.
Bon Iver.
And I was like, oh, that's cool. I didn't really I liked the song, but it wasn't like my favorite one on the album. So I didn't really pay much more attention to him.
Damn.
And I know, right? Like literally offensive. And
Big
then this year when I became friends with Raph, somewhere along the line in like April, because we were doing our spring musical together.
Yes, future episode.
Talking about our spring musical.
The title is so good too.
I know.
Sorry. All right. Sorry. Continue.
Anyways, hint. So he was talking to me one time about like music and stuff because we're both music people. And then you said something like, oh, I love Bon Iver. And I was like, oh, Bon Iver. And you were like, no.
It's Bon Iver.
It's Bon Iver.
Stop being like my brother.
We decided to make this podcast together this summer, or maybe like late May.
I think so.
Yeah, late May.
It was on a 3 a.m. call, so you know.
Yes, it was. It's on like some random call.
We are yappers.
We are yappers, guys. You don't even know. And so we were talking about it, and he was just like, you should listen to Forever Ago. And so I listened to some of the songs. I listened to like Skinny Love, and then I listened to Beth Rest, which is not on that album, but I like
on the next album,
yeah, I immediately loved both of them. And so we decided to do an episode on it, and this episode kind of came at the perfect time of my life, as I've mentioned.
God works in mysterious ways, putting God in this episode.
He does, I tell you, because like there is something about being able to relate to these songs and this album so deeply right now that kind of, I think in a way, obviously it's painful, but it gave me a lot of relatability to speak on this album in kind of a personal way. And so honestly, like this album has kind of helped me through like this bad time in a sense. And I think Bon Iver I can't believe that he wasn't going to release it because, yeah, it was therapeutic for him, but I think it's therapeutic for so many other people, including myself. And this album, it's like someone took their journal and like wrote down all their thoughts while they were spiraling through a breakup. And that's exactly how I feel and how I feel like the majority of people feel. And if you guys haven't listened to this album and you've like gone through either like the end of a friendship or a relationship or, you know, some family ties were broken, like listen to this because it's going to make you feel less alone. And
this, man, when I just sing in general and like play guitar at the same time, it's like I want to sing more of his stuff. But again, a bunch of his stuff in this song are so messed up keys and whatever.
Yeah.
So it's hard, but it's like as a wannabe songwriter, like I can relate to a lot of his ideas and themes, especially in this album. It's like, you can get off like when I sing about God or whatever. If you see me like in person singing about God, it's like you can see the emotion in my voice. And I think I'm a very emotional singer. So if like I'm like feeling emotions, like I will sing my heart out. I like while crying. I'll just sing it out there. But yeah, I think the way that Bon Iver finished this album was just locking his emotion in it and then just putting out for the world to hear and him moving on. And I think you could see that in the evolution that he made to his next album, self-titled Bon Iver, which is again another great album. So if you like Bon Iver and you like this album, listen to that album, listen to Michigan, listen to Minnesota, Wisconsin, listen to Perth, listen to Beth Rest.
Yes, listen to Beth Rest. I love that song.
Beth Rest is really good. Aaron Into the Star. Such a... And Lorraine Lid.
Aaron Into the Star.
And the Rose Rolls.
Yeah.
I mean, I love playing that song on piano, so it's really nice. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's gorgeous.
But, right, so when we see Bon Iver, I would typically say that he is very smart in a way, emotionally. I'm not saying he's stupid and really like book smart, but like he's just very emotionally smart like I am. Gotta pat myself on the back on that one.
Yes, sir.
But he's like, the way that he just connects with you is just insane. And that's where like I've connected with his music the most, especially like I remember Closing Night. I listened to this music for like 3 hours, just not because like a particular person was missing, but I like the thing that I was looking forward to every single day, like rehearsal or whatever, was over.
It was done.
I remember I remember looking out into the theater after, we did the bows, and Restacks was playing in my head as I looked out into the lights, and I go like, shit. And then I just move on. Oh, excuse my French, but then I just walk off stage like, oh man. And just Bon Iver was just playing throughout every single moment. And then I see everyone crying. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to cry. Not in front of you all. Not in front of you all.
Wow.
But that's the power. That's what my connections, my personal reflection or interpretation of is. So,
that story made you cry. Raph.
So imagine if I was in Charlie Brown. I'm just kidding.
Imagine had you joined theater sooner.
Yeah, imagine. I wonder where I would be. I'd probably be acting a lot more.
Guys, we're all human. We all slip up.
We all slip up.
Especially Raph.
Okay, at least I'm not throwing F-bombs in here, okay?
Whoa, who said I was throwing F-bombs?
Hey, I did say it on, is that Skinny Love? No, it's not on Skinny Love. I don't know where the F-bomb is. I forgot already.
There is an F-bomb in this album.
There is an F-bomb in this album.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are your final thoughts on For Emma Forever Ago as someone who's going through it right now? And just a new listener, because I know I introduced you to this artist more mainstream, not more mainstream, but more of his work. And I feel like Exile, I haven't listened to it, so I don't know what it sounds like.
It's a good song. I like it.
As soon as I saw Taylor Swift, I'm like, nope, I'm not gonna listen.
Yeah, no thanks.
No thanks. But it's like, if you've seen what's the Twilight, that's what it's called. If you've seen Twilight, the Twilight movies, Rosaline is in that.
Oh, really?
It's really popular. So Rosaline it's a single song release, so it's not an album. It's a good song. Talking about, again, love and relationships. So yeah, that's the theme of this album is relationship. And but yeah. What were your thoughts?
My final thoughts, thank you for introducing me to this album, Raph. Like, I'm just really glad that I found it and that this episode came at this time, you know? Because I think...
Don't start crying. No, I'm just kidding.
No tears.
No tears.
I think it can be so healing for so many people, and I hope more people find this album. And this artist in general, and like, I just love it when music... This is so cringy, but I love it when music reflects life. Like...
That's not cringe. That's all the music I listen to.
Yeah, I love music that it's like I can hear it playing when, you know, the spring musical closes and I feel down, or I go through my first heartbreak and I feel lonely, and so I turn on this song, you know? I love music that you can connect to your real life, and yeah, this is a great album. Listen to it, guys. Yeah,
this is really a really special piece.
Yeah.
So it'll always hold a place in my heart. So when I get my record player, I'm always getting this vinyl. My brother has like all the albums for Bon Iver, his vinyl in vinyl form, which I'm really jealous. I'm like, I want that. But yeah, Bon Iver, I'm more a fan of his old stuff. No offense to his new stuff, but I like more of his old stuff, because I feel like his new stuff, especially his latest album, 22 Million, I think, or something like that. Anyway, his newer stuff are more, it's a different type of uniqueness, I think. And it doesn't hit the same vibes as For Emma Forever Ago and Bon Iver's self-titled album, Bon Iver. So,
future episode?
Possibly. I have a lot of songs on that album where I'm like, I connect to as well.
Yeah.
Much of those on that album is more piano based, where I play it, than this one. So, multi-talented people on this podcast. Multi-talented people. So, but yeah, I digress. Buddy Bear, shout out to you. If I don't know if you're probably not going to listen to this. If you're listening to this, I don't know if you're going to listen to this.
We'll follow him and then like DM him and be like, hey.
Yeah. I mean, we already follow him, but
yeah, we do.
We do follow him. But I digress. This album is really good for you guys to listen to. So please do listen to it. I think you can see how it impacted me and Gigi. So I don't know if it'll do the same for you, but if you're into not folklore, sorry. If you're into alternative folk, this
or if you're into folklore too.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
If you are interested in that, this is definitely an album for you to listen to. I highly recommend it. It is a Should I say 10 out of 10? Is this the best? Yeah. Okay.
Honestly, yeah.
This is a 10 out of 10 for an album.
Deserves. Yeah, I agree.
Out of the 4 albums I've listened to, like as a whole, and not just Bon Iver, I've only listened to 4 albums like straight up. This is probably the best one.
Mm-hmm. What are the others?
It's all Surface's albums.
Okay, yeah.
I think I just listened to, what's the other album called? I mean, his self-titled album is really good too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like 3. I think I don't want to say like top 3, but it's like
it's up there.
It's up there. It's really it's really good. It's really fantastic. I mean, I've listened to Pacifico, Hidden Youth, Horizons, Good Morning, which if you're into reggae / pop, you should listen to Services.
Yeah, it's really good. Or just good Christian music that's not like waves of mercy, waves.
Jesus love you, this I know. Or the Bible
tells me so.
But yeah, the Surface is a really good example of a pop band that just talks about life, right?
Yeah.
The experiences of life, and that is really something that I am attracted to as a listener. So if your band talks about life, you're probably in my playlist. So
yes.
Oh yeah, Where the Light Is. But yeah, like pop and reggae. I mean, I'm a huge reggae fan, so it is definitely some things to listen to. So those are just some music suggestions for y'all.
Yes,
for y'all to have.
I have another one that sounds like Bon Iver. If you are a Bon Iver fan listening, listen to the album Fine Line by Harry Styles. Specifically, the song Fine Line. It's very, very Harry Styles vibe, or not Harry Styles. Very Bon Iver vibes.
Harry Styles vibes.
It's a beautiful album. Another 10 out of 10 in my book. So, yeah. Not all the songs are Bon Iver, but a lot of them are. So.
I was not expecting you to say shout out Harry Styles, but okay.
I know. I mean, a lot of people don't expect that, but there is a lot of similarities between Forever, Forever Ago and Fine Line.
Good to know.
In my opinion.
Good to know. So when I'm feeling depressed again, I'll
listen to Fine Line.
But anyway, do you want to?
Yes.
Do it? Okay, that sounds wrong.
All right, guys. I think that's it for this episode of the Crazy Catholics podcast. Today we covered the isolation and intimacy of the beautiful album Forever, Forever Ago by Bon Iver. Raph and I are always excited to share our thoughts with you, so make sure to join us for our future episodes.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Crazy Catholics podcast. Again, we really appreciate your support by listening to us, so please be sure to follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts at Crazy Catholic Podcast, and be sure to tune into next week's episode of Navigating Relationships with Non-Catholics / Christians. As always, I'm your host, Raph, joined by my amazing co-host, Giada. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and remember to walk by faith. Bye! Bye.